Okay, so my first question is, how would you define public relations?
Public relations, to me, is a way of communicating your. Well, can I start over? Oh my God,
No,
this is
you're
like
fine. Keep going. Don't worry.
I'm like, wait a minute. Public relations to me is actually the image of your company. It can be the image of your company. It can be the image of you. So you want to have a good image that you put forth in the public, especially if you're a business, and your public relations and the image that the community sees of you is important in order for you to have long-lasting customers and to have just a general good reputation in the community.
Great. So, do you see a difference between marketing and public relations and advertising?
That's really interesting. I was not a communications major, so I was a business major, and we only took one course when I was in college that had to do with marketing, and that had more to do with not with advertising and not with public relations. Marketing was really more about sales and how you positioned yourself in the business marketplace more than it was about advertising and public relations. I use the word marketing a lot, and when I use the word marketing, I think it sort of encompasses, for me, it's about promoting. It involves promotion, it involves sales, and in order to have sales or to promote what you're doing, sometimes, you need to have paid advertising in order to, I don't know if this is making any sense, Rachel. I'm hoping it does.
No, it is. Don't worry.
Okay. Your teacher's not going to listen to this. I'm always really good in the morning first thing. To me, there's a similarity, but there's a very distinct difference.
Okay.
Marketing to me is more about promotion and publicity, and can also be about sales. Where public relations is more about keeping your image and your reputation good and the right way that you communicate with the community. And then advertising, to me, is specifically using paid ways to market your company.
Perfect.
So through billboards or through ads or, say through Facebook ads, for example, too. To me, it's advertising, not necessarily marketing and public relations.
Okay. So, what has been your career path that led you to working with public relations?
That is a great question. I really, again, when I was in college, I was only required to take one communications course, and it was a public speaking course as a freshman. Never took any other communications courses. Was a business major. When you get out into the working world, sometimes your job descriptions require you to have to do some type of public relations work. And there were little specks of public relations work sort of tied into all of the first beginning jobs that I actually had. And it wasn't really until I started my first company where I knew that I needed to understand public relations well in order to have a good face within the community and for me to be able to promote and publicize my company. And then my second company, I really took my love for marketing and public relations to a new level, trying to provide opportunities for the women who are part of my business to be able to utilize marketing tools and public relations and publicity, like all the combinations of those, in order to promote themselves, to try to increase their opportunity for sales, and so people would remember their name for branding. So really, public relations, my knowledge of it and my use of it sort of grew throughout my careers, really not planned, but sort of by happenstance or by knowing I needed to use it and to be more knowledgeable about it in order to succeed in what I was doing. And I love it. I truly love it. And I can't imagine, I think if there's anything that I love doing more than anything, it's public relations, publicity, and marketing.
That's great. Gives me a little hope for my future career, hopefully.
You have to love, you find that what you love, you know what I mean? I started the computer science major. That was not for me as much as I love numbers and crunching numbers, and I was accounting, and that wasn't for me
Yeah,
either.
wow, it's polar
Yeah.
opposites.
It was, so you'll find it, and there's a big, broad range of between public relations and marketing and advertising and publicity and all of that. So I think you'll find as you go through, you'll find out how you utilize it, and then I think if you love it, you continue to try to find ways where you can do more of it in your career.
So, what sort of public relations tactics do you use mostly, like press releases or social media?
Currently, do you mean?
Yeah, in general, what do you think has been the most successful?
Yeah, you know what? I think having, and interesting because I just spoke on my 5 top marketing secrets to a group of women entrepreneurs over my 20 years as an entrepreneur and tried to share it with them. And I think the first thing is actually just knowing that absolutely 100% you need to, as a small business owner or entrepreneur, you need to embrace marketing. You can own your company and run the best company in the world, but if nobody knows where you are or what you do, you're never going to be able to make money and you're never going to grow. So marketing is an absolute essential part of any business, first and foremost, especially for solo entrepreneurs. So for me, understanding that meant that as the only person in my company, that I needed to quickly embrace how to get a hold of the media, how to get news. I didn't have a lot of money up front to pay for paid advertising. So if you don't have money for paid advertising, then you need to be able to utilize the other tools, publicity, press releases. I've lived on press releases. And the thing that I've told them is one of my other secrets is publicity begets publicity. So as soon as your company or yourself starts getting publicity or articles written about you, then the more you can use that to gain more publicity in bigger media outlets. Mm-hmm. So, for example, I would write a press release about my company's 5-star events or maybe one of my clients. Eventually, the newspaper, we pitched the newspaper to write a column called Ask the Entrepreneurs because we believe, me and 2 other women believe that we had really good information that we could share with people. We ended up writing that column for 11 years.
Wow.
As soon as, my name was in a byline for that column, I pitched myself to write for Amy Dickinson, who became the new Dear Abby. Dear Abby retired, and there's now Ask Amy. And I met her, and because she knew I wrote for the Post-Standard, she actually asked me if I would be her business blogger, which was a national gig for me. So that's what I always say to people, publicity begets publicity. The more you can get it, and the more you can keep information, keep a file on how much media exposure you're getting, the more it can lead to other opportunities, which for me led to TV, led to interviews. Local people knew to call me anytime there was a story. Mm-hmm. So I would say publicity begets publicity. The more you can get it and the more you learn how to use it well for your company or for yourself, the more you're going to end up getting. And it costs nothing except for your time to get. Where advertising, paid advertising, effective as it may be over time, takes a monetary investment. So I really use press releases, publicity. When I first started, social media was not an option. There wasn't social media when I started.
Right, yeah, it's very different now.
So now I totally use social media. I love social media. I promote my companies. I promote writing in my blog. I promote my members. I couldn't live without social media. I don't use it as much to promote my personal self. I wish more businesses used it solely for promoting and educating their consumers about things they can help them with. That's the way I try to look at it. I try not to post a lot of personal stuff on my business pages through social media. And I think the other thing I've become known for is my writing. So I have a very active business blog that, I'm up to like 2,000 followers, which for a solo
I read it.
Yeah, isn't bad. So again, it's sort of like writing again was not something that I did well, but over my career, I needed to write more and more. So I utilized that to help myself, promote myself and my companies, and eventually my customers. So if you find something that you love, and if you can find that you love communication and marketing and public relations, I think it's a great asset to have for yourself as an entrepreneur, or if you go to work for a company.
Right. Okay, my final question is, what would you say to someone who says that a public relations department is a waste of money and that it's not necessary in a company.
I totally disagree.
So do I.
My career prior to being an entrepreneur was in alumni relations. So in colleges, there's the fundraising and the fundraising arm of a college. So when people graduate, they become alumni. Well, the school, of course, in order usually, it could be like Syracuse University, in order to raise funds for scholarship money and to keep itself funded, needs to be able to fundraise. Well, you can't have alumni leaving the college and not being attached to the college somehow or feel affectionate towards the college. You need the alumni or the friend raising to be an important part in order to convert people to to give money for the fundraising side.
Mm-hmm.
So the public relations that you have between alumni eventually helps to financially support sane institution. Did I answer your question all right? I feel like I've gotten off track.
No, you're fine. Don't worry.
Yeah, so I think it's really important because you have to have a good public image. And then back to what I said to begin with, if you're a solo entrepreneur, you need to be pushing out the good things you're doing, who you are, who you help, in order to have the marketplace know about you. And you can do that nationally through social media, or you can do it, locally through your connections with Facebook or through blogs, or just locally in your own media with press releases. And I tell people to get to know your media, because if you know who the editors are in the newspaper that write specifically about business or the industry that you're representing as a public relations person, then you want to create a nice relationship with them where you're able to be a source for them so they come to you for story information. So, I think people think of the media as unapproachable, and I think they should be looked at as, how can I help them? And then in return, they may remember me. And if I can answer questions or, be in an interview for them or lend my expert advice about my company or about myself, that's a win-win, because there's promotion and publicity that goes along with it. So I totally think public relations is an important part of any business.
Okay.
Totally.
That is all I have for right now, but thank you so much.
You're very, very welcome. So